KPA is headed to the road to BAL. So after winning the KBF title, the next stop for KPA was the road to BAL, where they were there last year and things didn't pan out well. And we're just gonna look through that in depth. And they came off this last postseason in the finals. They beat Equity in 4 games. They won 3 games to Equity's one. So best of 5 series, they won 3 games, and KPA ended it in game 4. And KPA has been slated in the East Division Group D, which comprises of Pazi Basketball, Dynamo BC, KPA themselves, and Sibeta City. So Pazi Basketball from Tanzania, also Bramwell plays there. Dynamo BC, we had Ariel Okal playing there, and he was in that team, won the championship. So yeah, then Sibeta City from Ethiopia. I've not seen that team much, but we're just gonna have to wait and find out to see what that team is all about, especially when KPA match up against them. So these games are going to be held 10th to 15th October 2023 in Tanzania, just next door. But still, man, looking at KPA's free agency, they lost wages to free agency, and he went ahead and joined the Nairobi City Thunder, and KPA just gonna surely miss his productivity because he was one of those guys that they needed down the stretch, especially in those games, because his quality there was really needed, especially for winning that championship. But now that they don't have him, I'm not sure how they're gonna fill that up. But still, looking at the bright side, they still have Adera, one of the best guards in the league. He turned out for the Kenya Morans in this year's FIBA Afro-Can, and he was one of those guys that was our main bucket getters. He could finish on the rim and just did his thing. He did his thing. But the roster, if you still look at it, even despite we just leaving in free agency, the roster is still deep, retaining majority of the core team that was in last year's road to BAL. Notable mentions, we got Lennox, Tobias, Joe Byron, Brian Sivachi, Martin Kitongo, Nico Gol, among other players that were still there on the roster, and they still played in the road to BAL for last year. But in last year's BAL, I mean, things didn't just pan out like the way we wanted it. In 5 games, we won the first game and lost 4 straight. So the first game was against Jabal Club, which KPA just went in and blew them out of the game. And it was just a one-sided game. I believe this game they had like 137 to 100 plus points to 37 from Jabal Club. Jabal Club just didn't had a very very off game. But after we won the first game, they lost to the home team COSPN in Madagascar. So this game's happened in Madagascar first before the rest of the games happened in South Africa. So when I watched these games live, I just knew for a fact that we needed to step up, especially watching like the way we comfortably cruised to the win. Majority of the people were really really gearing up to KPA just making sure to get to that road to BAL there. But looking at the Cospian game, it was a very technical game. I watched it front to back and also released a video talking about it. Cospian, they were the team. They're the home team in Madagascar. So the first 2 games are in Madagascar, and then the remaining 3 games are in South Africa. So, man, they lost against Cospian by 6 points. Then looking at the KPA versus Urunani, this was just a welcome to the BAL. This was just a welcome to the BAL moment, road to BAL, because the real road to BAL really happened here, and Urunani were just there to they just gave us like a stun. They just stunned us, and it was just all downhill from there. And Cape Town Tigers, they were just formidable force, considering the fact that they made the previous BAL, and they also made the last year's BAL in the year before they made BAL. So that was one of the hardest matchups we have ever had. Then the NBA Academy team, just so embarrassing, losing like that by about 25 points, and losing 4 straight like that was, albeit embarrassing, and that outcome in KPA have that motivation to win the title, get back there in the road to BAL as they are right now. So, as has been for recent years, road to BAL, 5 cities will host the first round of the road to BAL qualifiers, while the decisive Elite 16 round will take place in 2 other cities. So that's how the road to BAL is. So got a couple of countries in there just trying to gear for that sport. They're only like five spots only, so they have to make sure to be able to notch those spots. So KPA has to be one of them this year. If not, I mean, it's just gonna be another year where they just fall short. So in this year's Road to BAL comprises of the East and West divisions with teams split into five groups. Subsequently, the teams that finish in the first place of each group will advance the Elite 16. So this is something that is just going to be like a gauntlet. If you look at COSPN, they're slated in Group C, another notable team, FAP from Cameroon, they're slated in Group B. And looking at also Dynamo, you can see Dynamo's there. They were still slated in KPA. They're still slated in KPA, as I mentioned earlier. And looking at it, also Bangui Sports Club, they're in the previous Road to BAL, but they never made it. So looking at the way like the contest is, it's just going to be a rough path if KPA just don't find a way to consistently win basketball games at the continental level. It's just going to be a repeat of what we saw last year. So subsequently, I mean, with the tentative dates of the events already released, as you can see from KPA, it's 10th to 15th October this year, and I'll just be gearing up to that because it's just so close. And looking at the way teams have been setting up, especially in their local leagues, a lot is just on the line right now, and KPA just need to find a way to be like, change that narrative, because they have been very good domestically, but when they go outside and they play against other teams that are quality teams and they have the ability to compete with them heavy, they really crumble a lot. And you can see even from not only from the men's side, also the women's side, they are very, very dominant. They had an unbeaten season. You can see KPA are just steamrolling through domestically in Kenya, but when they go outside, something just happens. And I just see a team just fall apart. A team that there's a apparently lack of chemistry, despite the fact that they've played together for the majority of the season. So those are one of those things that when I see them, I just ask myself, like, what is it that happens when we leave the country? Because inside the country, the KPR are an unstoppable force. But the moment that they board a plane and just leave, I mean, they just shrink. And even looking at the way that they squandered the opportunity in 2019 to make it to the first inaugural BAL, still leaves like a huge question mark in what might have happened. And looking at the way like they botched that when they had that walkover game against City Oilers, they won every single game aside from that walkover, and they will have made the first ever season. So yeah, that's just another failure, and actually that's the closest they've ever been to reaching BAL, and they never knew what BAL was. And right now, looking at the way teams are gearing towards getting into the BAL, now it's actually much more harder to get in there, considering the fact that there are so many perks and benefits for teams being there, especially coming from the free publicity and marketing in there, making those teams be a part of an ecosystem that are treated like they're treated really, really well, and their basketball is quality, and they're able to like have good quality basketball talent, and also worthy opponents. A lot of teams are gearing towards putting themselves in those positions. So right now it's just kind of difficult for KPA. I am not writing them off. I'm just saying the path every single year, the path to getting into the BAL just becomes more and more difficult. So yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at this. I'm just really excited, and hopefully they just turn up and they just don't have like a dud performance like they had in the previous year. So I'm just gearing up to that, and I'll also be giving you guys an update on what's going on. And yeah, if you guys like the video, make sure to leave your feedback down in the comments section down below what you think. And I'm out. Peace.